Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to try and wrap our heads around a company that's as intriguing as it is controversial,
Definitely.
Palantir Technologies. Now, if you're a beginner investor,
Right.
you might be wondering, pal who,
Right.
pal what? But stick with us,
Yeah.
because this company's doing some pretty wild stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking software that can track
Mm-hmm.
terrorists, predict crime, and some even say
Oh, yeah.
it helped uncover Bernie Madoff's massive Ponzi scheme.
It's true.
It's like something straight out of a spy movie.
It really is.
But instead of Hollywood fiction,
Right.
this is the real deal.
That's what makes it so fascinating.
So buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the world of Palantir Technologies and see if we can make sense of it all.
Yeah. I'm excited to unpack this one.
Me too.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, can you give us a little bit of background on Palantir? Like, where do they even come from?
Yeah. So Palantir was founded back in 2003 by a pretty interesting group of people, actually, including Peter Thiel.
Oh, yeah, the PayPal guy.
That's the one. And Alex Karp, who's still their CEO today.
And he's a bit of a character from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. Let's just say he doesn't shy away from the spotlight. And, their initial goal was really to use data analytics to fight terrorism in the wake of 9/11.
So they were born out of that whole post-9/11 world.
Exactly. And they quickly caught the attention of some pretty high-profile clients.
Yeah, like who are we talking about here?
Oh, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
The CIA, the FBI, basically the whole intelligence community.
Wow, so they went straight to the top.
They did. Their software, Gotham, became kind of like the go-to tool for these agencies.
Gotham, huh? Like Batman.
Exactly. Like a digital crime-fighting tool.
I like it. So what exactly does this Gotham software do? Like, is it some kind of magic crystal ball that can predict the future or something?
Well, it's not magic, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Gotham is designed to connect the dots between massive amounts of data, and it's looking for patterns that would be impossible for humans to see. You've got analysts sifting through mountains of information trying to find those needles in the haystack.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
And Gotham comes in and says, hey, I see a connection here. And here's another one. And before you know it, they've got a clear picture of what's going on.
That's pretty incredible. And you said it's been used to track down some serious criminals, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been credited with helping to find Osama bin Laden and disrupting tons of criminal networks.
So it's powerful stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But I got to ask,
Sure.
where does the average investor even begin to understand this? It all sounds very hush-hush, top secret kind of stuff.
You're right. It's not your typical tech company. But here's the thing. Palantir isn't just about government contracts anymore.
Oh, really? So they're branching out.
Big time. Around 2009, they started making moves into the commercial sector.
Interesting.
And that's where things get really interesting for investors.
So they went from catching bad guys to helping businesses make better decisions.
Precisely. They realized that the same technology used to track terrorists could also be applied to things like preventing fraud, managing supply chains, even predicting customer behavior.
So they saw the potential beyond just the spy world.
Absolutely. They developed a new platform called Foundry, specifically for businesses.
Foundry?
Foundry, yeah. And it's been gaining a lot of traction in a bunch of different industries.
That's fascinating. So they took these super spy tools and said, hey, businesses could use this too.
That's a great way to put it.
But didn't they have a bit of a rocky start in the corporate world?
Oh, you're talking about the JP Morgan Chase thing?
Yeah, that's the one I vaguely remember, some kind of scandal.
Yeah, that was a bit of a learning experience for them.
What exactly happened?
Well, JP Morgan was one of Palantir's first big corporate clients, and they were using the software to monitor employees for potential misconduct. But things got a little messy when it was alleged that the software was also being used to spy on executives, leading to a very public and not so amicable breakup.
Yikes. So maybe not their finest moment.
No, not exactly. But despite that little hiccup, they managed to attract other big names like Airbus, Chrysler, BP.
Wow. So clearly businesses see something valuable in what they're offering.
They absolutely do. And that's the key takeaway here. While Palantir's origins are definitely intriguing, their future growth really depends on how well they can break into the commercial sector.
Makes sense. So we've got a company with a fascinating backstory, powerful technology, and a growing presence in both the public and private sectors.
This is the deep dive, though, and we like to go beyond the surface. What are some of the key takeaways for someone like me, a beginner investor looking at Palantir?
That's a great question. And it gets to the heart of what makes Palantir so unique. You see, they're not just a tech company.
Oh?
They're a company that operates in a world of secrets, government contracts, and some seriously complex ethical considerations.
Uh-huh.
And for investors, understanding those nuances is just as important as understanding their financial statements. Okay, so there's more to it than just looking at the numbers.
Absolutely. There's a whole other layer of complexity to Palantir that we need to explore.
All right, well, let's dive into that then. What are some of those ethical considerations that investors need to be aware of?
Well, for starters, let's talk about those financial statements.
Okay, let's do it.
Palantir's revenue has been growing,
Yeah.
steadily, especially as they've been pushing into that commercial market.
Right.
But they've also had a history of operating at a loss.
Okay, so they're not in the black yet.
Not consistently, no. But that's not unusual, for companies in their growth phase.
Makes sense. They're still building and expanding.
Exactly. They're investing a ton in R&D,
Mm-hmm.
building up their sales teams, expanding into new markets. All of that costs money up front, but it can really pay off in the long run.
So it's like planting a seed. You got to nurture it, give it time.
That's a great way to put it.
You might even lose some sleep over it before you see it blossom into a mighty oak tree,
I like that.
or in this case, a profitable tech giant.
A profitable tech giant, exactly. Speaking of giants,
Yeah.
Palantir went public in 2020,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and their stock performance has been, well, let's just say it's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Roller coaster, huh? So ups and downs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They've had some pretty impressive highs.
Like what kind of highs are we talking?
Their stock price hit almost $45 per share
Wow.
in late 2024. But there have also been some dips and swings along the way.
Okay, so roller coaster stock, got it. But what's driving those ups and downs? Is it just the general market being volatile?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something more specific to Palantir that investors should be aware of?
It's probably a combination of factors, honestly.
Well,
First, you got to remember that Palantir is playing in a relatively new and complex market.
right, data analytics.
Exactly. It's a hot sector, no doubt.
Yep.
But it's also changing really fast, and that creates a lot of uncertainty.
And uncertainty makes investors nervous.
You got it. And second, Palantir's business model is a little different.
Different.
They often work on these huge customized projects for their clients,
Yeah.
which can make their revenue streams a bit, lumpy?
Lumpy revenue, so not the smooth, predictable flow that investors love.
Not exactly. A big government contract could bring in a huge chunk of revenue one quarter,
Right.
but then things might be quieter the next quarter.
Okay, that's it.
That can create volatility in their earnings reports,
Uh-huh.
which then translates into those stock price swings.
So it's not for the faint of heart, this Palantir stock.
It's one way to put it.
But let's be honest, a little bit of risk can lead to big rewards.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the potential upsides for investors who are willing to ride this roller coaster?
Well, for one, Palantir is a leader in a market that's growing like crazy.
Yeah, data analytics is hot.
It is. The demand for data analytics is only going to increase in the coming years
Makes sense.
as businesses and governments try to make sense of all this data they're collecting.
It's like they're selling shovels in a gold rush.
Exactly. A perfect analogy.
Everyone needs data analytics.
Yep.
And Palantir is one of the few companies with the tools and the expertise to deliver.
That's right. And they're not just sitting back and watching either.
So they're staying ahead of the game.
They are. They're investing heavily in AI and machine learning.
So they're giving their software a brain boost.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
allows them to offer even more sophisticated solutions to their clients.
Got it.
And that's a key driver of future growth.
So they're not just riding the wave. They're building a bigger, faster surfboard
I like it.
to stay ahead of the curve.
That's a great way to think about it.
But we have to address the elephant in the room, or maybe it's more like a shadowy figure lurking in the data streams.
What do you mean?
What about the controversies surrounding Palantir? They've been criticized for their work with government agencies, especially in the areas of surveillance and immigration enforcement.
Right.
Does that pose a risk for investors?
It's definitely something to consider. Some investors might be uncomfortable with the ethical implications of Palantir's work. And that's totally understandable. It's important to invest in companies that align with your values.
So it's not just about the numbers. It's about feeling good about where your money's going.
Exactly. But it's also worth noting that Palantir has been very vocal about their commitment to using their technology responsibly.
Okay, so they're aware of the concerns.
They are. They've published ethical guidelines, they've engaged with critics, and they've emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability.
So they're acknowledging the concerns and trying to address them head on.
Yeah, they are. But Ultimately, it's up to each investor to decide if they're comfortable with Palantir's track record
Okay.
and their stance on these sensitive issues.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between potential profits and peace of mind.
I think that's a good way to put it.
No easy feat, but definitely something to think about.
Agreed.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Palantir, their origins, their tech, the financials, even the controversies. But for our beginner investors out there, let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
Is this a company worth betting on?
That is the million-dollar question. And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Okay.
Palantir is a high-risk, high-reward kind of investment.
Got it.
They have the potential to be a major player in data analytics for years to come, but there are also a lot of unknowns.
So it's not a simple yes or no.
Right.
But let's try to break it down.
Right.
What are some things a beginner investor should be thinking about when they're looking at Palantir?
Well, first and foremost, you got to understand your own risk tolerance.
Yeah, how much risk am I comfortable with?
Exactly. Are you comfortable with a stock that could go up and down like crazy?
Yeah.
Are you okay investing in a company that operates in a kind of controversial space?
Right.
If the answer to either of those is no, then Palantir might not be the right fit.
So know yourself and know how much risk you can handle.
Exactly.
But let's say I am a bit of a daredevil investor.
Okay.
And I am intrigued by Palantir. What are some good signs to look out for?
Well, one key indicator is their growth in the commercial sector.
Okay, so how are they doing with businesses?
Exactly. If they can successfully shift from mainly being a government contractor to a company that serves a wide range of businesses, that's a really positive sign.
Okay, makes sense.
Right.
So keep an eye on their clients and how much money they're making from businesses.
Right. Look at their client acquisitions, their revenue growth in the commercial space. How many businesses are using their Foundry platform?
Foundry, right? That's their platform for
That's
businesses.
the one.
Okay, so basically, are they proving they can play in the big leagues of the business world?
Exactly.
What about competition, though? Are there other companies out there doing similar things?
Oh, absolutely. There are other players in the data analytics space, but Palantir has some advantages.
Like what?
Their experience with government agencies has given them a deep understanding of security and complex data sets,
Okay.
which is really valuable in the commercial world. They also have a strong reputation for building custom solutions for their clients.
So they're not just selling off-the-shelf software?
Right. They're tailoring it to each client's specific needs.
So it's like they've got a secret sauce or maybe a secret algorithm that others don't have.
You could say that.
But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the numbers, right? What should I be looking for in Palantir's financials?
Look beyond just revenue growth.
Okay.
Pay attention to their profitability. Are they moving towards being a consistently profitable company?
So are they making money?
Exactly. And keep an eye on their cash flow.
Cash flow.
Do they have enough cash on hand to fund their growth plans and weather any potential storms?
Okay, so they need a cushion.
Right. These are all signs of financial health and long-term sustainability.
Got it. Growth, competition, financials.
Yeah.
But we got to circle back to the ethics for a second.
Yeah, of course.
Some investors might hesitate to support a company involved in some of the things Palantir's been involved with.
I understand.
Is that a valid concern?
It absolutely is. Investing isn't just about making money.
Right.
It's also about supporting companies that align with your values. If you're concerned about Palantir's track record, do your research, read their ethical guidelines, and decide if you're comfortable with their stance on these issues.
So it's about finding that balance between potential profits and peace of mind.
Well said.
No easy feat, but definitely worth considering. Well, I think we've given our beginner investors a lot to think about today. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up our deep dive into Palantir?
Just this, investing is a journey, not a sprint.
Okay.
Take your time, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask questions. The more you learn, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions that align with your goals and your values.
Well said. And remember, everyone, the world of investing is always changing. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.